not the one, yeah. I'm the right 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 one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not the one, I'm the right one. I walk in like a bird, cold look, clear aim. You wanted smoke, I heard it. You talk big, all wordy, all bark, no bite. You can't win this fight. I seen your hand shake when the room got quiet. I don't need a threat, I bring it, then I write, yeah, yeah, yeah. Tick, tick, hear that whistle, step too close, get the missile. Blood in my eyes, stealing my job. Say my name once, then stand by the law. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't choose a crowd, I let them come. I stare hit hard like a loaded drum. You keep on talking, I keep on moving. Your chest gets loud, but your legs ain't proving. You want that title, you want that crown. I take one look and I shut it down. I crash when the flow gets mean. I came in clean, let the scene pristine. Tick, tick, hear that whistle, step too close, get the missile. Blood in my eyes, stealing my job. Say my name once, then stand by the law. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, 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 yeah. I don't bend, I don't break, I don't flinch, I don't fake. Every shot you throw just feeds my pace. Every lie you spit, I put back in your face. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one.
That's what this case is about. It's about the truth. Not hiding it or concealing it, but exposing the truth.
Yeah.
Don't let them get away with this. Do not endorse and sanction an investigation that is broken and corrupted top to bottom. That's why you stand as the guardian of justice and the protector of justice. And my question to you is, what will you do with this moment?
Hey, you did that, look at you go. Drop that down and now the whole room know. Big heart energy still in the show. You walk in and the whole place grows. Old school smile with a fresh new grin. Same sweet spot, let the chaos in. Cards on the table, you win again. Everybody turn when you step in. Hands up, look alive. You made the whole night rise. They've been waiting on your name. Now it burns through the frame. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. You did that, and everybody knows. Turn up, toast to them, move. Let's fucking go. Big heart energy still in the show. Toast to them.
I will not be silenced, and we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
TRUF. Truth.
He's the mirage in the rear view glass.
It's Ray from Dallas.
Was he here? Was he there? Was he ever mine?
Ray from Dallas?
Just a trick played by time.
This dude is savage as fuck.
Or just a dream?
What up, Ray from Dallas?
Ray from Dallas, tell me true.
He's fun.
Hi, Ray.
This appears to be a black man.
Ray from Dallas. Let's take this walk.
Is he real or just a dream? Falling stars or a laser beam? Ray from Dallas, tell me true. Are you the myth or the man I knew?
This dude is
Savage as fuck.
Shout out to everybody on here from that 214 to across the states to across the pond. Salute. You and I rocking with your guy, RFD, aka Ray from Dallas. And I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Man, shout out to the beautiful Catherine, man. Man, she done turned me up. She said, mad love and 10 toes down sign. Your Canadian sun, Ray. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. Let me turn up my favorite Canadian.
I ain't never represent, baby. I ain't do no wrong. I can clean up good for you. Oh, I know right from wrong. Yes, I want to thank you. I'm a $1,000,000 baby.
Yo, you gotta chill, man.
Man, shout out to the beautiful Catherine, man. I appreciate that. Real talk, I really do. Shout out to the beautiful YouTubery that's in the building. I hope you're feeling okay. You say you're having a weird night, and I'm praying for you, beautiful lady. Who else I see in the building? Shout out to the Mocha Dog in the building. Spooky Small PR Firm in the building. Grammy Kisses in the building. Vicky W in the building. Shout out to the beautiful _ Kayla Jones in the building. Man, I appreciate everybody on here, man, who rock with me regardless, right? I really do. It mean a lot, right? And like I say, y'all, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I mean that with everything in me. So everybody, I gotta turn all y'all up real quick. Man, salute, salute, salute. So today, all right, the Richard Allen case just got darker. Andrea Burkhart breaks it down. Let's take this walk. First off, I want to shout out to the beautiful Andrea Burkhart. Shout out to Brother Counsel, right? Because, man, when I tell you she broke it down to him, and it could have went on more, right? But she nailed it, right? And we're going to try to get through all of this as we can, right? But I want everybody to stop, take a second, look at this thumbnail. Look at the words. Hashtag free Ricky. Hashtag free Richard Allen. And then look at the words corruption and crooked. Now let me be very clear with everybody. Those are powerful words. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every allegation floating around the internet been proven as fact. But I am going to tell you something. The questions surrounding this case deserve answers. And I mean that with everything in me, because y'all know we're on a free Ricky campaign. That's how we coming. And I'm not going to apologize for asking this. Nope. I ain't apologizing for asking this. Is people crazy? Shout out to the beautiful classic in the building. Because we're talking about a human being, y'all. We're talking about somebody who has been convicted and sentenced to spend essentially the rest of his life behind bars, y'all. And when the government takes that much freedom away from somebody, everything better be mother shut your mouth right. The investigation better be right. The procedures better be right. The courtroom process better be right. And the defense better have been given a meaningful opportunity to fight. Because this isn't a game, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't some television episode that ends and everybody goes home. This is somebody's life in Richard Allen. And that's why the beautiful Andrea Burkhart legal breakdown matters to this conversation. Because when she walks through the legal issues, the courtroom decisions, and the arguments surrounding Richard Allen case, it gives everybody opportunity to stop reacting emotionally for 5 minutes and actually examine what happened. And she breaks it down thoroughly. And that's what I want, because September 21st is a big day. Examine it. Don't just believe it. Don't just believe in the prosecution. Don't just believe in the defense. Don't just believe in Andrea. Look for yourself. Because if the case is solid, if everything was handled properly, if every constitutional right was protected, then scrutiny shouldn't destroy the case. Scrutiny should strengthen it. But if there were mistakes, if there were failures, if something important was overlooked, shout out to Skinny in the building. What if somebody wasn't fairly treated? Then we all have a reasonable responsibility to talk about it too. And here's the part that makes me angry. People sometimes act like questioning the process means you're attacking the victims, and God rest their soul. That's not what we're doing. That ain't what nobody been doing. No, absolutely not. We all have compassion for Abby and Libby. We can understand the unimaginable pain that the families have endured. We can. But we can also demand justice for those girls and still demand due process for those girls. Those two things are not enemies, ladies and gentlemen. They belong together, because real justice doesn't say, we already picked somebody, so stop asking questions. Real justice says, bring the evidence, bring the facts, bring the law, and let the truth stand on business. That's the standard. And if somebody thinks Richard Allen's conviction is completely beyond questions, fine. Then answer the questions. Don't attack the people asking them, God damn it. Answer them. That's what I'm asking. And that's what makes this case so heartbreaking, ladies and gentlemen. Because when you're dealing with the power of the government against one individual, the imbalance is enormous. The state has investigators. The state has prosecutors. The state has resources. The defendant is sitting there fighting for his fucking freedom. So when people say, why are you still talking about this? Motherfuckers, I'll tell you why. Because justice matters. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep listening to legal analysis about it. I'm going to keep examining the evidence about it. And I'm going to keep asking motherfucking questions about it. Because I'm not afraid to ask questions. Are you? And Andrea Burkhart breakdown is another piece of information for the people to consider. Listen to it. Everybody, challenge it. Agree with it, disagree with it. But listen. Then go look at the record. That's how we have intelligent conversations. Not screaming, not bullying, not shutting people down. Facts, evidence, and law. That's what should matter. So Richard Allen, whether people agree or disagree with you, your case deserves to be examined through legal process, which it was railroaded. And if there are legitimate issues with that conviction, let the appellate court examine them. If the conviction stands, then the courts will have spoken. But until the process is finished, I'm not done asking questions. And to everybody watching me tonight, if you believe important cases should be examined, if you believe defendants deserve due process, if you believe the justice system should be held accountable to the same standards it demands from everybody else, please like this video. Share this video. If you're not subscribed to RFD, aka Ray from Dallas, please do. And most importantly, keep walking with me. Because we're going to keep shining a light on them questions. We're going to keep listening. We're going to examine. And we're going to keep demanding that justice be more than just a word. Because when somebody's entire life is hanging in the balance, we better care about it. How we got there. That's my position, and that's why I'm talking about it. And that's why we're here. Free Ricky. Free Richard Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take this walk. This case right here is heartbreaking, y'all. This case changed me, right? And this case right here showed me life is way more important than bullshit. Beefing, like whoop-de-whoop, because it's about injustice and corruption. That's what this showed me right here, because this is heartbreaking, ladies and gentlemen. Heartbreaking. Like I said, before we get into it, right? I hate showing this video, but it's necessary. So y'all can see why it's free Ricky, free Richard Allen until he free. Look what they did to him.
Oh, holy fuck. Bloody hell. Now there's a deterioration. Like...
That was after solitary confinement. Jesus. Jesus.
Did you see his eyes?
He looks... I want to say psychotic, which is actually probably accurate.
Which is probably accurate, yeah, for sure.
And I don't mean it in that flippant...
No, you mean psychosis, I know.
Jesus, that's so...
This is somebody who's broken. He's also got the eyes of somebody who doesn't know where he is or what's going on. That's just resigned to everything. Broken. Somebody who's broken, basically. You see this kind of behavior in prisoners of war, political prisoners. You saw this look in concentration camps. You see it in hostages. So this kind of thing.
He looks like, yes, a Belson victim.
Yeah.
I'm almost in tears, Paul. That is...
Pull yourself together, Helen.
I know, I'm trying.
Like I said, I don't like showing that video, but it's necessary. It's necessary. So y'all can understand how this man has ruthlessly been tortured. Did you just see him? You see how that man was broken? You see that? That's why I be wondering to myself, is it really about, and shout out to Free_Ricky_Bay in the building. I be wondering to myself, is it really about injustice and corruption? Because, you know, they love to show up and show out when it's on some bullshit. This real shit right here, where they at? They don't want to look at that. They just want to look the other way. That's what everybody, that's what happened to Richard Allen. They looked the other way. Oh, wait. And that's why I apologize to everybody. The OG cranks who've been on this. For getting distracted. But I'm back. And we own it. Look at this, y'all. Do y'all understand how they did Richard Allen? Do people understand this? A human being. And the beautiful Andrea Burkhart with Brother Counsel, man. Like, Brother Counsel is a great lawyer, great talker. So he done been around cases and stuff like that. So his shocking belief is different from a person like mine, because you got to go back and check out the first video. When I did this, my shocking belief was out of this world. But Brother Counsel is befuddled with what he heard, because the great Andrea Burkhart break it down so greatly. You'll be stuck if you knew nothing about this, really. You will be stuck. Like Brother Cam. And Brother Cam, like, hold up. I gotta stop. I gotta, like, you'll be stuck. Oh my. Let's get to it.
Helped out in that regard. Okay, so without any further ado, let's bring Andrea onto the stage. And let me thank you again, Andrea, for joining us for our second meeting on the world of YouTube.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Okay, great. So before we jump into Richard Allen, which I know that's really the focus of this, I really want to get educated. I know that you're the person to get educated by. So before we start that cross-examination, I'm going to be asking you questions about, I want to first ask you two other unrelated to Richard Allen questions. I know that you watched Karen Read, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
You watched, and you probably had a number of interactions with people, ordinary people that are more educated about the case, less educated about the case. You probably have interactions with lawyers as well on this case. Have you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Have you, and I'm just asking this as just an open-ended question, have you met the lawyer out there yet who has said that, in his opinion, Karen Read should have been convicted based on the evidence that was presented in the trial?
Nobody that is confirmed as a lawyer, who's not an anon claiming to be a lawyer.
Oh, okay. So I've had the same experience actually, and I'm still. I ask this question to a lot of lawyers because I show them the picture of the arm. Obviously, some of them are more knowledgeable about the evidence, some are less knowledgeable. We discuss the case, and I'm still waiting for that lawyer. And if you do find that lawyer, I'd love to have a conversation with them. And I've offered my show as a platform. Let's just have a conversation. It'll be a great exposure for your law firm. Show us that show me that I'm wrong or whatever it is, and let's have a lawyer to lawyer conversation. I just think it'll be an interesting conversation to have. And we're still waiting for someone to take me up. I actually just sent an email today to another lawyer who I've heard maybe believes that. So I said, hey, let's get on the show, and we'll see if they take me up in the offer.
Well, that'll be fascinating to see if you get a taker on that. I'll tell you, Martin, one of the kind of common themes that routinely comes up in LawTube is that, lawyers, we tend to think alike. Doesn't mean we always have the same opinions or anything like that, but it's just you're taught a certain way of looking at things and thinking about things through the process of going to law school, and it's kind of unique. It kind of distinguishes you from lay kind of interpretations of stuff. So, lawyers have a way of looking at things to understand, here's issues with the evidence. Here's ways that you can use it, procedures that are available and stuff like that. You have like this matrix of utility that you can fit that information within. And so it's very common that when a whole bunch of lawyers are watching the same trial, they tend to form a lot of the same impressions about it. There aren't that many where you have, lawyers that are wildly divergent. And when you do, it tends to be on some fairly technical questions. Like an example might be the Murdoch case, where I'm not sure there was really a whole lot of factual dispute among people about whether, he was involved in the situation. It just was specifically, what can be proven and what does that establish in terms of what specific crime would he best be convicted of. And so you hear a lot of noise, about from people who don't agree with your perspective, of course, and that's fine. People can have different opinions. It's just that often that tends to devolve into ad hominem and not very substantive or helpful types of critiques. And the common one, of course, is the grifter. You get the grifter accusation. All these lawyers are just grifting off the case. They're making all this money, and it's like there's such a basic failure of just core economic understanding to not appreciate that, like, if there is a shortage of one position and there were a market to hear that, somebody would absolutely kill it, by stepping up to service that particular audience. And so the fact that doesn't happen should really kind of say a lot about the merits of the opinions that the lawyer folks are putting out there. So I offer that to you as a kind of part of my experience, going all the way back to Depp versus Heard and the types of critiques that we heard about that. It just comes with the territory.
Yeah, what's interesting is that I actually
shout out to Ismael Mendoza for sending them jewels. Let me turn you up real quick, then we'll get back to Andrea Burkhart and Brother Counsel. Man, appreciate you so much, Mr. Mendoza, Ismail, for that. Appreciate that very much. They go a long way. And yeah, if y'all want to support the channel, y'all can. But my main thing, make sure y'all hit that like and share button. That helps out a lot. Yeah. Boy, you see how eloquently she talks? She said, she came on there saying, when you talk to other lawyers, y'all seem to talk alike, not meaning that y'all gonna agree on the same thing, but it's more of a common balance because they've been taught that. Catherine saying, starting it with basically bury. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So yeah. Andrea, man, and it's so sad because, like even, when we do these lives like this, sometimes we gotta laugh, right? To keep ourselves composed. And if you thoroughly went through this case, it's no doubt. It should be no doubt in your mind, are you just stupid as fuck that Richard Allen is innocent. Free Ricky until Ricky is free. Let's continue.
The territory.
Yeah, what's interesting is that I thought, and again, I remember I started this about 2 years ago, and I obviously Karen Reed was not my first case, but the first time I heard the term grifter was with Karen Reed, and I was like, it seemed to me like this is a term that's associated with specifically the Karen Reed case. And then as I'm getting more involved in the world of social media, I realized that no, everyone from like anyone who's ever posted any sort of thought on social media could be called a grifter. It doesn't matter what it has to do with anything. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is just a regular attack that everyone uses against somebody who's taking a position in anything for any reason. So it's something I'm learning as I'm not as well versed in all this stuff as you are. But
yeah, well, what's kind of surprised me the most about my time in LawTube and just shooting off my mouth on the internet is the extent of the information management that is really out there. It's something that I really wasn't aware of until I started talking about cases, and I started getting, these types of responses and these very hostile, like I said, ad hominem types of reactions. A lot of just conclusory insistence that you're wrong, I'm right, this is what happened, and of course not a lot of nuance. And I'm sure some of that in here is just an internet conversation entirely. But I do always, at this point, start to wonder now about the extent to which that is deliberate, that there is a particular goal of trying to squelch, people's natural curiosity about cases, people's natural interest in cases, people's ability to look at information and form their own opinions from it. And this is a great segue to the Richard Allen case, because if there is one case that is just, it's really one of its defining characteristics is the distinction you see between who wants the information out there and who is still to this day hiding information, a lot of it illegally, not in accord with the laws of Indiana for access to public records, court records, and things like that. And it really makes me wonder when I see that type of thing happen, what is it that you're trying to protect? What is so scary about people being able to form their own opinions from the evidence?
Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, like Candace, I still can't believe folks that think he get there. Like Class has said, you can write to your own opinion, but if you ain't looked at this case or seen this case and think he guilty, you was a dickhead. You was a dickhead. But like I say, as people can see, this shit right here important. All right, it's important. Like I told y'all, people get on here and talk about the interviews that I'm gonna do, right? You hear them coming out in bunches. But when I'm talking, and I'm on some common ground shit, when I'm doing shit like this, what they do? That's what I'm saying. Look at that. This is real. Richard Allen is an innocent man. And look, innocent as they can be, but I see now is people only show up when there's drama. When there's drama. Like when there's drama, they be so adamant to tell me, oh, y'all need to do this, but when I ain't doing it, where the fuck y'all at? Crazy. That's why, just going forward, I ain't letting nobody dictate. It ain't even dictate. I just don't care no more because like when you on some other shit like this, real shit, where they at? But they right there when they see you finna do something else. Shout out to Savage Dog in a bit. And I just want to show y'all because it's all about, I ain't mad at nobody. I just want to show y'all the difference. Let's continue.
Joe maybe got excluded, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, amazing work you're doing there with the kittens. So let me tell you where I got a little bit involved in the Richard Allen case. I did like 2 videos about it. It was a long time ago. I actually went and tried to rewatch some of them. It's like watching your old videos. Like it's the last thing that you want to do. But I had to do it, and I was going to even play a segment for us, but it's just too embarrassing. So if you guys want to watch that, you have to go back a year and a half to find that video. But anyway, so this is what I understood from what happened. And then you can maybe fill in some more details. You had a situation where there was a gag order on this case, and somebody, and again, the 2 attorneys that I knew on the case was Baldwin and Rozzi, right?
Yes.
They were representing Richard Allen, and they there was some sort of leak to the press. Now it seems like maybe the prosecution leaked first, and then the defense kind of in response leaked their own defense or some of the defenses. And then there was some guy who used to work at, I think it was Baldwin's firm or Rozzi's firm, who just kind of pranced into the office one day to say hello to everybody. That happens, by the way. You'll have an old employee or an old lawyer that will drop by and say, hey, how am I doing? You go talk a little bit. And it seems like they wandered into the war room, saw some of the pictures that were of the crime scene or whatnot, took their own pictures of those pictures, and then disseminated them. Right.
Yes.
And that's what caused a lot of this outrage. And to use a term that we've heard from the Karen Reed case, the judge said that she has grave concerns about these two lawyers representing Richard Allen. Now, because number one, the leak, and number two, these pictures going around, that it showed gross negligence. And in fact, again, this is from everything that I remember, is that even when they offered to represent Richard Allen pro bono, they were still not allowed to do that. Now, just to throw some more context, and again, you can fill in all the gaps here, but what I remember is that there was some sort of in-camera meeting in the chambers, in judges' chambers. And that day, for whatever reason, the judge opened up the court to the cameras and the video. So they had the entire press there for one of the few hearings that was going to be publicized. And you can talk more about that also. And the judge basically in chambers said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read how you're incompetent and I'm throwing you off the case. And you're going to get your dose of public humiliation. Or alternatively, this is like an offer you can't refuse, or you can just duck out respectfully and I won't have to publicly humiliate you in front of everybody. So they said, okay, we're going to duck out, respectfully. And that seems to be what happened. Then what happened was, I guess they had second thoughts about this, and they went and filed a writ of mandamus with the Supreme Court. And then at the Supreme Court level, not only did they say this is not fair, this is not due process or anything like that, but also this judge needs to be disqualified. And now this is very early on. I think I did this video maybe in 2023, maybe, and maybe 2022. I don't know, maybe 2023. That makes more sense. And the decision came down from the Supreme Court that they're going to allow the attorneys to stay on the case, and they're not disqualifying the judge. So at the time, I said, "Wow, I would love to be in that courtroom because there is going to be tension that you can cut because between the judge and these attorneys, I mean, there is going to be some fireworks or whatever else we can expect to see." And that was the end of it. And that was the end of my analysis. And then I guess I got busy with the Karen Reed and other stuff. So why don't you kind of help me out more with that story and then say how this may have led to other things and tell me about the relationship between the lawyer and the judges as the trial continued.
Yeah.
So as you can see, right, but the counsel is clueless, but he breaking it down another scenario. So she could break this down to him as we all can see, right? Because that's why I tell y'all, nobody cared about Richard Allen. Fuck Indiana. Delphi Police Department are the biggest piece of shits in the world. I want y'all to understand that. It was, but I'm not gonna do it just when Andrea talk. I'm gonna just say what make coming after what she say. Oh no, I bet classic. But like I said, you cover real shit like this, where they at? But the drama. I just want y'all to understand how I'm coming. That's why you see how such a facade these last couple of days done been. In the shit, right? Because everybody talking about this and all that. When you talk about the real shit, where they at? In the drama. But at one point, I was blamed for that. Don't get that shit twisted. Let's continue.
It was a very pervasive one throughout the case. It was manifested in this particular incident that you're referring to. It manifested.
Savage daughter, she said media had me. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Like, brother counsel, if you ain't paying attention to this case, if you're on the outside looking in, you heard two girls, they saying him, whoop-de-whoop, it's him. They putting it out like that. You don't know that the case is closed, everything is off. Like, brother counsel is befuddled to what he heard. Befuddled. Let's continue.
It was a very pervasive one throughout the case. It was manifested in this particular incident that you're referring to. It manifested in things like they were unable to meet with him because he was detained pre-trial in a maximum security prison in solitary confinement. So they would have to meet with him in prison. They were unable to do so confidentially. They would have their meetings video recorded by prison staff and things like that. significant impairments to their ability to do the job of defending their client. And so I would fill in your story, I think, a little bit by going back further, because this was not a problem that just started with the quote unquote leaks. And yes, I think you've highlighted there are some significant questions about the source of the quote unquote leaks. There is plenty of reason to believe that some of these leaks involved the prosecution or the investigators, individuals who were associated with the state. And that has to do with like markings on some of the items that were obtained by typically content creators. But there was this incident where the gentleman that you're referring to, Mitch Westerman, he was a former employee of Andrew Baldwin's, had gotten access in the conference room to the discovery materials, took the pictures and so forth. And so that was what triggered this process of getting Baldwin and Rosie removed, that ambush hearing, as Mr. Rosie refers to it, where the judge ambushed them in chambers. Basically, it was the one time that she allowed cameras in the courtroom, was that particular hearing, where she announced her intention was to publicly humiliate them, berate them, if they did not voluntarily agree to step off the case. But the reason why I want to step back is because this problem, it didn't just start then. This emerged at the very beginning of the case, from the point that Baldwin and Rosie were appointed. And the reason why is because, of course, as soon as they were appointed, they began to investigate the case. And on December 1st of 2022, they issued a press release. Now, of course, the case had been out in the media for 5 years. It took 5 years for them to find a suspect to arrest and press charges against. There were a lot of efforts to cultivate public interest over that 5-year period because they were dependent on tips. And so there were, interviews given by law enforcement, by family. There was encouragement to go out and keep talking about the case, keep it in the public eye, so that we can continue to get tips about it. And then as soon as Mr. Allen is arrested and charged, the mood and the attitude towards the public interest, it just shifts on a dime, from this is a helpful way to potentially be able to get information, to characterizing the public as bloodthirsty. I showed you the safekeeping order, which is just one of the most bizarre pieces of legal writing I've ever seen in my life. It reads like the kind of crazy letter that you get from a pro se defendant who has, who's in jail and has a record this long. It does not read like ordinary legal writing.
You mean like Sarah Boone? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yes, that's a pretty good example, actually. And so as soon as, of course, there'd been all of this press for years. And then as soon as Mr. Allen is arrested and charged, there is a press release or a press conference that's held by the prosecuting attorney, and the investigators are present and so forth. So they, as is kind of typical, get to have their say about, we've got the guy and finally it's over, and, all the things that are kind of implying his guilt. And as is often the case, the defense doesn't get to respond right away. So there's like some background with that too, because they sealed the probable cause affidavit for like a month. It was just this very crazy stuff. But anyway, what ultimately happened was,
so basically, in terms that, I'm not a lawyer, but I got what she said, right? They handicapped the shit out the defense. This penguin looking piece of shit and gull shit did everything in her power to not let the defense have nothing to do. You heard Andrea. She was there. Bahamada was there. Other people was there. But do you hear that? This ain't me. This is her. She breaking it down. And she's saying it clear cut, no debating. Well, if you're not familiar with this, it gets worse and worse. See, this is a professional breakdown, right? But like what they did and are still doing to Richard Allen, y'all, every second fucking matters. Every second matters. This is heartbreaking. Yeah, with Delphi, it gets worse. Man, this is heartbreaking, y'all. And like I said, you hear people always saying this and that about other shit. When you're talking about shit like this, where it's clear a man got railroaded, what the hell they had? And this breakdown is proper. Look who on the screen, the beautiful Andrea Burkhart, and Brother Counsel, man. Man, his shit is on September the 21st, man. But let's keep going. I'm just showing y'all the difference.
Wait, what ultimately happened was that on December 10th, the defense issued a press release. And in this press release, they specifically...
Class said, why can't the public see the pics of the grind? You said we need one more tip from Pasty. Deteriorating every day, Catherine. Every fucking second count. Right. Every second. Every second counts. Well, every second. Man, this is sad, y'all. And I wish these people out here who, you know, really for this injustice and corruption, you know, when you do stuff like this, they don't share it. They don't like it, but when you doing other shit, they share like and all the other shit. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is real shit. But okay, let's continue.
Wait, what ultimately happened was that on December 10th, the defense issued a press release. And in this press release, they specifically responded to some of the claims that had been made at the prosecutors, you know, in the probable cause affidavit, in the prosecutor's press release, and so forth. And so they pointed out, Rick is a 50-year-old man who has never been arrested or accused of any crime in his entire life. He's innocent and completely confused as to why he's been charged with these crimes. Police did not contact Rick after the girls went missing. Rather, Rick contacted the police and voluntarily discussed being on the trail that day. He wanted to help, like many people in Delphi. Without him coming forward, they probably would have never known that he was on the trail at all. He volunteered to meet with a conservation officer to give details of his trip to the trail on the day in question. He tried to assist. He provided information. His contact was brief. After he shared that information, he went back to his job at the local CVS in Delphi, across the street from the sheriff's office, and just lived a normal life for 5 years. The next time Rick heard from the police was in October 2022, approximately 2 weeks before a contested sheriff's election, and within days of a federal lawsuit filed against the Carroll County Sheriff's Office by its former second-in-command, Michael Thomas. In that lawsuit, he claimed he'd made suggestions and offered assistance about the investigation, but there was disagreement from the elected about that. He claims that he was ultimately demoted and replaced by Tony Liggett, Sheriff Liggett, who later won the election. He was also removed from any involvement in these high-profile cases. Rick was ultimately arrested at the end of October. In the 5+ years since he volunteered to provide information to the police, he did not get rid of his vehicle or his guns, didn't throw out his clothing, didn't alter his appearance, didn't relocate himself to another community. He did what any innocent man would do and continued with his normal routine.
Wow. I mean, you're saying a ton of information, but each one's hitting me like a ton of bricks. So first of all, he voluntarily came to the police.
Yes.
He was being helpful for 5 years voluntarily.
Yes.
Didn't get rid of his guns, didn't try to run, didn't book one-way tickets to Vietnam. I mean, he is cooperating and trying to be helpful to the police. Voluntarily gave information that he was on the trail, and then how did the police end up identifying him as a suspect?
Voluntarily. You say all odds, narrow scope of trial coverage. Yeah. Do everybody hear this bullshit right here? See, this is the fight right here. Around 2 cases, justice and yeah. And they won't release anything to do with the crime scene, which literally means the pics of the ground and bodies. Oh my God. Damn. Shout out to Naughty Dog in the building. Damn. Damn. And this gets no fucking attention. Back then, it got attention, but it ain't getting the attention that it need. Why? What is the double standard for Richard Allen when it's no fucking evidence in this case? Voluntarily went to the police station. Difference was going to release the public exhibits. They released the video. Then, oh man, voluntarily walked up. Then 5 years later, everybody, oh man, he didn't throw away his clothes. He didn't throw away his guns. You know, he let them come, and they pick him. He didn't take this. Looks like Andrea. Look, say he altered his looks. One of them said that. This dude even turned down more money to just stay in his position and do what he did. He worked in the pharmacy. Oh man. I wish, you know, not even just lawyers, you know, like which, you know, Richard Allen, you know, people say they feel sad for him, but how sad do they feel for him? I knew nothing about this. Didn't. Let's continue.
Identifying him as a suspect.
So the official story from police is that they had this original tip from when Richard Allen had called in, and he was interviewed by this conservation officer, Dan Doolin, provided information. He gave his cell phone identification number, and went about his day. They marked his tip as cleared. And then, according to the state, they lost it. They misfiled it. It had been originally entered under an incorrect last name. They had confused his address, which was on Whiteman Drive, with his last name. So it was entered into their system as Richard Allen Whiteman instead of Richard Allen. Now, exactly how this poses a huge problem to them, being able to find tips is not entirely all that clear to me. But their story is that the paper version of this tip before it was entered into the electronic system, it had been lost. It had been misplaced. It was somewhere in the bottom of some file drawer that was maintained by a volunteer, a former CPS officer who used to kind of assist with this part of the investigation. And she just happened to find this tip in, I think, September of 2022, 5 years later, and decides, or 2022, decides that even though it's marked cleared, that it's something they should revisit. It's something suspicious, and so they do, and it's all basically built on this tip from 2022 that they refined in 2022. And so what happens is then they go and they interview Richard Allen.
What's the tip?
I should say interrogate him, because they read technique him.
What is the tip? Like, what's the tip? What does it say?
The tip is Richard Allen himself called in to say he was on the trail that day. Oh, and so yeah. And this was
somebody else who called in this tip.
No, I mean, that's the thing. And so
so they lose this tip because it's entered into the wrong database in the wrong name. Eventually they find, they circle back and get it, and now they interrogate or interview, whatever you called it. I mean, did you see what it looked like? I guess maybe in court you did. Okay, yeah, so then tell us what that interview looked like, because I don't think the rest of us were able to see it, right?
No, those are public now. And so I have shared with you, over on Twitter, but one of the absolute best resources out there for this case is All Eyes on Delphi, has the GitHub site. And it is comprehensive. It has evidence, it has filings, it has timelines, it has just all kinds of ways to access and review the what evidence we have been able to get in this case. So it's by far the most comprehensive. But yes, so
this is also evidence that was presented in court, which the camera's not allowed.
Yeah. So what they have been able to get, what the court has allowed us to see in terms of the evidence that was admitted in support of various pretrial motions as well as at trial, that is available. All Eyes has that. Now that is limited because the court has decided that certain information, certain evidence, certain exhibits, we the public are not going to be allowed to see them. And that decision was made it's not in compliance with Indiana law, with their procedures for being able to seal off this type of information. So that's part of what I mean about, there's some legal issues. Even if it complied with Indiana law, you have this vast sphere of First Amendment law and kind of common law right of judicial access to court records that make it pretty clear. Court exhibits admitted in open court, things that are part of the adjudicative process, that the public has a right to be able to see those.
Yeah, this.
Classic. You said Lawyer Lee. I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, but this case too big. I don't understand how it's not being, but that's just me. And Clark said Tip was never lost. It was clear. Kathy's fucking skank. This bitch that just came in out of nowhere. Hard gun. Hey, bitch, we'll pay your rent for 10 years straight, or we'll get you a house that's paid off. It'll be you and your family. All you gotta do is be the one said you went through this evidence. That's exactly what the bitch did. Man, fuck her. Man, this chart that Classic gave me, I don't got it right now. Like what ridiculous is a part of that chart. This is some fucked up shit if you know about this case. No cap. This is some fucked up shit if you know about this case. Yeah, everyone turn their heads and don't get involved. I can't believe it. It's the worst shit I done. It's worse than anything I see. Thanks for dropping, Claire. You ain't lying. Yeah, disrespectful to the beautiful victims, yeah. Man, God rest they soul, happy and Libby. And that's why this is sad, y'all. Killer, maybe dead, killer maybe in jail, but we know it ain't Richard Allen. Yeah, you can't let this shit go. You just be fucked. Like I was fucked up. This the first time I thought I'm still fucked up. Oh wait, let's continue.
Yes, so I've seen it. And it is out there. You can see it on the All Eyes as well. They are video recorded. There's transcripts of them, so you can see them in different formats.
Okay, so let me hear. So what happens at the interview?
Mr. Allen, from my perspective, presents about as innocent as you expect somebody to do. He is, he just, he's denying involvement. What happens is that in the initial interview, he's clearly already under suspicion. And so, he starts to catch on that, it seems like you guys are maybe trying to pin something on me. They're asking for his phone to be able to extract his phone. They're asking to be able to go to his house and look through his house. And he's like, wait a minute, I think I'm not going to do that. So the interview basically goes downhill very quickly.
By the way, stop for a second. Stop because this person says Andrea did that.
So I did this during
Andrea did that.
during the trial. There were two things that I filed to the Indiana Supreme Court about. There were audio recordings of the trial that were taking place at the time that the trial was happening. I argued for those to be released to the public, in part to alleviate some of the just nightmare that trying to get into court became with the limited seating and the fact that there was no other way to see for yourself what was going on in that trial. The other thing that I tried to do was during the trial, the exhibits would be admitted into evidence. Sometimes, of course, they would be published, but sometimes they would not, or they would be published just to the jury and not to the audience. And so what happened was that Judge Gohl entered an order that said at the end of the day, she would make the exhibits available to the media, to people with press credentials to be able to come in and inspect them. And she then denied that access to those of us that didn't meet the criteria to constitute press under Indiana law. And Indiana law defines press in one of those ways. It's basically based on, do you have a relationship with somebody that we have approved of, a wire service?
It's not about how many people are watching you or listening to, Andrea.
Absolutely not about your audience or even the quality of what you're presenting. It's just based on, do you have a relationship with somebody who is one of our old boys.
Right. But then did they publish all these exhibits by themselves, all this, this mainstream media?
No, so they couldn't get copies of them, but they were just able to come in and see what they were. And so for a lot of things that were like photographic evidence and stuff like that, the media was the only people besides the jury that got to see that. And so that was part of what my original action was also about, was to say, look, there's all kinds of case law that says the media doesn't get any special right of access to court proceedings above and beyond the public. They are the same as the public in this context. There is no basis for discriminating between us and depriving the public of our right to be able to see these things as well. And what ultimately happened was that, so two things. One, they just waited until the trial was over to address my original action. So by then, the viewing the exhibits, it was moot. They just let that moot itself out.
It can't be like an emergency hearing on that,
Yeah, no, nothing real urgent to deal with that. But then the other thing that I found out was that so my request for the audio recordings had been based on the rules, which the rules for trial procedure, which unbeknownst to me and came as a surprise because the prior rules were still published on their on their government websites, was they had amended the rules at the beginning of the year, and they had completely changed the rules to be able to get access to recordings of court proceedings. Previously, anybody could get them. They changed the rules at the beginning of that year to now nobody can get them, and sometimes even trial counsel can't get them. Ultimately, my writ on that one on public access didn't go anywhere. They didn't offer any reason. They just denied it without any further comment.
Okay, but that was a separate action that you filed just so that you can have access, the same access as the media does, let's say after the day of trial. But this is not a separate action which you would file now for them to release all the exhibits now that the trial is over.
Correct. Yeah, very different process. And so, I will say I have kind of looked into it. I have, thought about maybe pushing that a little bit further. I was waiting to see initially because now we're in a different forum. We're on appeal. And so all of this stuff has been transmitted up to a court of appeal. We have now a different potential venue to be able to go to ask them, maybe look at this differently than we already know what Judge Gohl is going to say because we have a long record of Judge Gohl just sort of doing what she wants without ever offering any real rationale for it. So I was kind of waiting to see, okay, what are we actually going to get access to through the appellate process? Is there going to be any kind of effort made to reconcile, what they have that's been provided to them confidentially versus what they have that provides a basis for them to have, confidentiality assigned to any of these records and so forth. So I have been looking at that.
Okay, so let's go back to
for God shit, for doing one half of the dynamic duo and defensive diaries. Ollie like that. It scolded her. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh wait. Oh wait. Wow. Yeah, Ollie and Andrea, the whole truth. That's what I'm saying. That's what it should about. And justice and corruption, right? But I just gone learned, right? People be having, a lot of opinions on me. They be saying, oh, I see how it was the outroar, of the interview that I was going to do, right? Coming in bunches. But when you talk about real shit, like that, and that was real shit that, I was been always trying to find a common ground. Because I was gonna say, do they got an episode talking about it? Oh, I would love to go over that. But that's what I'm saying. I just want y'all to see the difference. See the difference. Yep. But it's what type of time, because like I said, reality is reality. Let's continue.
Okay, so let's go back to the interview. So there's this interview, they call him and he thinks, okay, this is the same me, been helping you and being open and honest with you about this, the past 5 years. So now let's talk, I guess, formally. So now in the interview, he starts to realize, hey, you guys sounds like you're suspecting me. So then what happens then?
Yeah, well, so first off, during the interview, they're just revisiting, they start off by revisiting what happened that day at the trail. When were you there? How did you get there? What were you wearing? Things like this. And so Richard Allen is open and provides answers to all of these questions. Once things start to kind of turn to where, he's realizing you guys are trying to pin this on me. I'm not going to cooperate anymore. He terminates the interview and he leaves. And so the next step is that the investigators go and get a search warrant for his house. And to get the search warrant in the house, they have to misrepresent what he said during this interview. So this is actually one of the grounds that has been raised on appeal for potential reversal, that he should have had a Franks hearing on these allegations, because the detectives claim that he attested to a certain route that he drove to get there. He did not. They attested that he claimed to have parked in a certain location. He did not. They attested that he claimed to be wearing the same clothing as Bridge Guy. Are you familiar with Bridge Guy?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay, so I'll fill you in on Bridge Guy. So for years, there were only like little bits of evidence that were publicly available to kind of help the public identify who the potential perpetrator might have been. There were some sketches by witnesses who had been on the trail that day that were released. And then there was also this screenshot from a video. This video was taken from Liberty German's phone from when they were out on the bridge, on the Monon High Bridge Trail, the day that they were killed. And so the video, which I could get into issues with the video too, but it gets long and complicated. But anyway, the video at one point shows Abby walking on the bridge, and behind Abby there is a man who becomes visible. And so they screenshotted that man and kind of blew him up and released this photo pretty early on in the investigation as their prime suspect. And so this is Bridge Guy. That's Bridge Guy. Now, bear in mind, Richard Allen, like we said, he went back to his job at the CVS in Delphi, a customer-facing job. He works at the pharmacy counter in Delphi. And over that 5 years, not a single person, they received tens of thousands of tips, probably 20,000 tips or something like that. All kinds of people calling in. I think my old boss is Bridge Guy. I think my brother-in-law looks a lot like Bridge Guy.
Nobody said that the CVS guy.
Not a single person ever said, hey, that guy who works at the pharmacy counter at CVS, he kind of looks like Bridge Guy. So anyway.
Okay, so coming back,
oh my God. Terminate the interview because he see they trying to pin it on him. Then they misrepresent. To get a search warrant. It's the real shit right here. And that's why, I see, I try to tell everybody, but they don't want you to, everybody said they free Richard. I know they say he innocent. Really? Y'all believe that? They should have way more noise than they got, man. And that's the only thing that bothers me. Crazy as fuck. That's the only thing that bothers me. You get in the chats, you try to, say free Ricky, but it's all about the drama, but this is a man's life on the line. And when I'm preaching on this, they don't even pay attention to it. I guess it's all this, It's just, it ain't, it's drama, put the finger, and people thought I was lying when I say, the fingers got pointed at me. People don't like hearing that shit because it's the truth, but then they do the same thing, shit accepted. You be in other chats, you be seeing people drop everybody else, and I'm like, damn, they gonna drop mine? Never, once, maybe. You see them drop other people's shit constantly. I'm like, damn, they fucking with me or nah? That's why I say, 10% class at 10%, boy, but they will put 100% into, you know, I just shake my head now. I be like, damn, it was a big fiasco when I wasn't even on that type of time. You seen all of them whenever they want to hear about that shit, and it's like, I'm just sitting back, like, what? Nah, that ain't just it, Captain. But it's just reality. That ain't just it. I ain't real talk. That ain't just it. But it is what it is. Richard Allen. This is like, this is important. And, you know, you have you know, and then I see these people who done been with these other people, they heard now they get treated like fucking royalty. That's crazy work. And they was turncoats. Golly. Crazy work. I'm like, damn, this is what I'm seeing. I'm like, this is what I'm seeing. I'm like, people have been turncoats, and they just, oh man, this is what we had though with it. I guess let's continue. I guess that's what we had with it though. And you know, I'm not lying. It's just crazy work. I just try to show people the difference, you know, and my intentions wasn't on no other shit, but people just thinking and assuming. And they come around, they want to look up, that should be fake as fuck. What was we at? Right here, let me see. This might be the same clip. Let me see.
To get this search warrant for his house, they had to lie on this search warrant.
They had to lie on the search warrant about the things that Mr. Allen said during this interview. And so because of that,
right?
They put him in the same clothing as Bridge Guy. They put him, parked in a place where witnesses had seen a suspicious car, which incidentally, as they described it, looked nothing at all like Richard Allen's car. They left that part out. And so based on this, what they asked permission for was that at the crime scene, when the girls were found, kind of between the bodies and partially buried in the ground, they found an unspent shell cartridge, a 40 caliber cartridge. And it had been cycled through a gun, but it had not been fired. So it had markings on it from the ejector extractor and things like that. Actually had been cycled through multiple times from the gun. So they asked for permission to look for, clothing that would look like Bridge Guy's, but their real focus was on finding a 40 caliber firearm and any, ammunition and things like that might allow them to track it to Mr. Allen. So they get their search warrant. They go and they search his house, and he does in fact have a 40 caliber handgun. It's not particularly uncommon, as we found in the trial. There were several individuals whose handguns had already been recovered and compared to this bullet that was found at the crime scene, and they were not able to be excluded from being the gun that left the extraction marks and so forth on this bullet. However, as soon as they found Richard Allen's gun and submitted it to the tool mark analyst, she was now able to say definitively, oh, this absolutely came from Richard Allen's gun. And the way that she did that was that she first cycled some 40 caliber cartridges through Richard Allen's gun and could not find any marks that she would be able to compare to the cycled marks on the bullet found at the crime scene. So then what she did is she put bullets into Richard Allen's gun and she fired them. And then she compared the marks that she got on the fired spent shell casings to the unfired gun that was found at the crime scene, unfired bullet that was found at the crime scene, and concluded they match. And
they're different things. I mean, they're different things. How can?
Indeed they are. Yes, indeed they are. Yes, I'm glad that you noticed that.
So then,
completely different things. I mean, I have to laugh because it's so dark. If you look at this seriously and what they actually did to build the case against this guy, the absurdity of it is just through the roof. That was the best piece of evidence they had against Richard Allen, was this bullet, where they compared the apples to the orange, and concluded it's a match after they had previously said all these other guns we can't rule out, but now that we have Richard Allen's gun, we can. And that
can I ask you a question? Did they did this expert, quote unquote, firearms expert, did she also fire from these other suspects guns who had 40 calibers?
The magic bullet. It's a match. Oh man, it's a match. Yeah, y'all, he up. Ron Logan and Brad Rebel guns could not be excluded. Yeah, Judge Guz shit was a piece of crap. And Andrea gonna say it eloquently though. Let's continue, y'all.
We can. And that
can I ask you a question? Did this expert, quote unquote, firearms expert, did she also fire from these other suspects guns who had 40 calibers that she was not able to rule out before, and then compare the spent round of a fired one versus it? No. Wouldn't that have been a good exercise to do?
I mean, none of it's a good exercise.
I mean, none of it is. But if this is what you're going to be using, then shouldn't you also do the same with the other suspects and see, oh, it's different when it fires from these guns as opposed to this one?
I mean, I suppose that would slightly improve the process. It's still going to have some fundamental problems with the predicates behind it. But no, and so in fact, there were big problems with just the basic scientific validity of what it is that she did. Richard Allen had a proffered expert, a metallurgist, a PhD, who is highly critical of tool mark evidence in general, for a lot of reasons. This is something that I myself have litigated, many years ago. It's not a particularly strong science. It's extremely subjective. The standard to be able to find a quote unquote match is basically self-referential. It says the analyst can determine identity when there is quote unquote sufficient agreement between the item that she's looking at and the item that she's comparing it to. And nowhere is sufficient agreement to find. It's just whatever the analyst decides is what meets the standard. So
let me ask you this: so was there a Daubert hearing for that expert?
Oh, no. Okay.
Was there a request for one?
I don't believe there was a request for him, but so what they did, there may have been, I have to remember back now. So what the defense had really tried to do was to just bring in their own expert, this PhD guy who's been a critic of this methodology, and allow him to testify about the problems with it. And so he was excluded. They didn't get to present.
Why? Was there a Daubert challenge
of any of that?
Why was there a Daubert challenge for him? Well, why was he excluded?
No, it was a motion in limine to exclude him, and as I recall, her rationale was that he wasn't relevant. He didn't have the right expertise because he wasn't a metallurgist. He's a metallurgist. He wasn't a certified tool mark examiner, a qualified tool mark examiner. And so she concluded that because he wasn't a tool mark examiner and because he hadn't looked at the analysis, the evidence that the state's analyst had produced, that he was not going to be allowed to testify at trial. Well, she was wrong about that. He had in fact looked at the analyst's work and had critiqued it. And he does have expertise in the methodology and the standards and so forth, because he's been a witness about that thing, as an expert almost 300 times in other courts. But this was, just kind of par for the course of the cavalier attitude that Judge Gold took towards Richard Allen being able to present anything that might suggest that he was not the perpetrator of this crime.
Let me ask you this. So was there any DNA evidence?
So there was a lot of DNA evidence. There was DNA from females. There was DNA from males. There was DNA on the clothing. There was DNA on the bodies. There was DNA on I believe on the phone. There was a lot of DNA, and none of it was apparently found to be suitable for comparison. And the explanation that the state's witnesses, their forensic analysts, gave for the presence of all of this DNA was that it was just probably all background information. For example, there was male DNA found in the underwear, and in fact, actually, I hate to say this, but in the bodies there was some evidence of seminal fluid. Presumptive test, they didn't confirm it, but just kind of an issue. And then male DNA in the underwear. Their explanation as well.
They couldn't get a profile on that in the DNA.
So no, they said it wasn't suitable for comparison. It wasn't a sufficient quantity or quality for them to be able to draw conclusions from it. Now, I can argue with this from a technical standpoint because often DNA evidence that isn't adequate to be able to include suspects, you don't have a strong enough correlation. You don't have the ability to exclude enough people to be able to draw meaningful conclusions if all you have are, say, one or two points on the genome to be able to compare, because a lot of people are going to share that. Most STR DNA analysis, they're looking at 20 or more points on the genome. And so when you have like 20 things that line up, you have a lot stronger statistical inferences that you can draw from that than just one or two. But that said, even if you've only got one or two, it's typically enough to be able to exclude people. Like you can compare it for exclusion purposes. But there's no indication that they did that with Richard Allen. And their explanation was that these girls lived in places, in homes with males. And so it would be perfectly normal to expect environmental contamination. The laundry gets done and you would expect male DNA, from their households to end up on their clothes. It is the only case I think
Stop for a second. Stop. I want
to. Look, brother counsel, like I say, he professional. He said, stop. Because it's bewildering. Like, Captain said, he got that bewildered look on his face, right? And shout out to the beautiful subtext in the building. Look, and boy, say, I think I don't know if we passed it yet, but I think I heard on her. She said you can see it on all eyes on Delphi. Boy, shout out to Andrea. Boy, big dog. Shout out to I don't know if I passed it yet, but I know that's what she said. This crazy work, no DNA. Excuse me. And you see how professional Andrea is? Like, I forgot that word she used, but it's just so professional. But this is irritating and aggravating to me. Right? How the fuck did this happen? There sure was an adequate amount to get two presumptive positives. The odds, two presumptive. Exactly. Man, what is this crazy work? Shout out to Melanie Jan. Melanie Jan, I'm just saying Melanie Jan. Thank you for popping up. Oh wow, no DNA. Oh, say man, brother counsel, stop. That's how I was. But see, I ain't as professional as him. Cause see, me, I was cussing a lot, right? I was cussing a whole lot. So let's continue.
Wait, stop for a second. Stop. I want to explore that a little bit.
Yes.
So these girls, they lived at home with me like brothers and their father, like that type?
Uncle, father, grandfather, yes.
And therefore they're saying that the DNA on the laundry, which they can't, is not enough for comparison to be able to include the father or the uncle, but that's most likely where it's from. What about the fluid inside of them?
So they didn't explain that. This was so what they did is they had vaginal cervical swabs from both of the girls from the autopsy. They ran a presumptive test for the presence of semen on those tests, and both of them came up positive. So their testimony was that at that point they have two things that they can do. One is that they can either confirm, they can run a confirmatory test for the presence of semen, or they can test it for DNA. And either one of those, according to them, would be consumptive. So they chose to do the test for DNA, and they were not able to recover any male DNA. So never confirmed officially one way or the other whether those presumptive positive tests were actually semen. Now here's the issue: these presumptive tests, they have, of course, a failure rate.
Let me just ask you a question. What other liquid from a male would it be in there?
So here's the thing: it doesn't necessarily have to be liquid from a male. Depending on the kind of the test that they did, what they're testing for is a certain hormone. It's a prostate specific androgen that they're looking for. And the reason why it can produce false positives sometimes is because women do produce this hormone sometimes. And so
does it make sense in their age? Does it make
produce
sense
it in these quantities? Well, it's usually associated with something like if you've got PCOS, if you've got a syndrome that's associated with production of androgens, and so it's about a 10% failure rate is what I've read for most of these tests. So a 1 in 10 chance of getting it wrong for one person wouldn't really be that shocking, but of course a 1 in 10 chance of getting it wrong for both of them, that's starting to get more implausible. Now we have a 1% failure rate, right, or a 1% chance that presumptive positive was incorrect as to both of them. So this was never really fleshed out during the trial, but it just is one of those background facts that kind of, to me anyway, remains lurking out there about these presumptive tests.
So just to be clear, there was no DNA from Richard Allen that they were able to. Okay, at the scene. Okay, so there's no DNA.
No DNA.
Okay, so there's no DNA.
Yes.
Now, what about this confession that they talk about?
So the confessions, yes. So the bullet was the strongest evidence that they had against Richard Allen up until the point that they threw him into, as we talked about, the maximum security prison in the solitary detention wing, where he was held for 13 months pre-trial as somebody with no criminal history whatsoever. During that process, his condition deteriorated significantly. This was documented both in the psychiatric records and also in the observations of his lawyers when they finally got to see him, phone calls that he made with his family and so forth, and video records from inside the prison, of his cell and when he was moved and things like that. So he lost a substantial amount of weight. He began to basically he got extremely distressed and ultimately became psychotic. And so he was treated involuntarily with Haldol while he was there in the prison, which is a very powerful first generation antipsychotic. And he remained psychotic by their own records for at least a month. If you go by just behaviors that are seen and stuff like that, it's more like at least two. And so during these psychotic episodes, he began to make statements. He began to claim that.
Stop. So these statements were during that month period, or was it?
Yes.
After?
No.
Okay.
During the period of when he became psychotic. And so he began to make claims that he had been involved in the murders. And so these confessions, they took a lot of different forms. Most of what we heard and most of what there is actual objective documentation of are recorded phone calls that he made with his family. And so he, for example, made a phone call to his wife at some point in early April of 2023, where he says, "I think I did it. Maybe I did do it." He's confessing in these types of terms.
And April was the month that he was psychotic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. April is the month that it's really towards the end of March, going into April is when he's psychotic at this point. And he's early on, he's kind of still, he's like kind of coming in and out of lucidity. So there's a point where this particular phone call that I'm talking about 3 hours before that, maybe 2 hours before that, he had called his father, and he had a conversation with his father where he said he feels like he's losing his mind, not sure that he can take it a lot longer, thinks that they are, putting stuff in his water. He's trying not to drink or eat the food because he thinks that they're poisoning him. Has this phone call with his wife where he says, I did it. I think I did it. Maybe I did it.
See, I'm with subtext. Like, I love Brother Counsel too, boy. I love Brother Counsel too. But man, his looks are oh my, his reaction. I with DNA. similar to how they approach tool mark analysis. Both are convenient when it comes to what their analysis can't testify to, like DNA exclusion. Oh, wait. Well, that's mind-boggling. This is the odd thing to say, but Lindsay trial is influenced when people are being exposed. Exactly. Hold up. See, exactly. Oh, Melanie. Boy, you hit the nail in the coffin. I was talking about that the other day, Melanie. How you see these, this how it would have looked if we seen that off-brand Tinky Winky Hillbilly Walla. Oh my. This is what you see. This is an idea of what happened to Richard Allen. In that case, with Go Hard and Tough. And then this is what's fucked up about it. The bitch Tough got a big lawsuit. Man, this shit is that shit fucked me up, man. Yep. Man, that fucked me up, man. That fucked me up. That fucked me up. I'm not bullshitting. And I wish people were seeing that video, because like you gotta try to get examples to show motherfuckers to put attention on this shit, man. There wasn't enough DNA to develop a full profile, but it was more than enough, exclude. All right, exactly. And they just said no. That's a good ass point. Totally. Yeah, with any luck, man. I am a mind boggle, bro. Cause look, oh, for real, man. Oh, man, this is crazy work. No, it's enough DNA. Man, they say it came from the environment. It could have been the washing through the clothes. But you see how hard that was for her to say that some was found inside? Hard for me to say. Damn. That would be, real talk. I would love to see that. And then they say, I still don't understand how they can charge work when it's dead. Was this exactly? They go off this bitch ass, funky ass, hoe ass bullet. Look, that's what I'm saying, y'all. How ain't nobody looking at this? Man, say some, if not Rick's exam. They didn't test it. Shout out to the beautiful Amy _Boston in the building. Salute. They didn't test it. It was more than enough fucking DNA there. Subject said there was a couple of people who made really good graphics putting the DNA shit fuckery into context out the MCU classic. Man. And like they did, what was it, 19 minutes. Rick Allen, a vet who got fucking skin in it, or whatever type of, he had in his chest, smoked cigarettes back to back, got anxiety. They said that man was able to go delegate all of that, what happened in 19 minutes. What is we doing? What is we doing? And see, this is what the fuck I'm talking about right here, y'all. When I talk about this real shit, where they at? Where everybody at? This real shit right here, this injustice and corruption. I hope so. I don't know. No, man, because just need everybody to share this. Man. You know, when you talk about this real shit, you can't get this shit shared. So, like, I'm going to take a quick break, right? Please, everybody share this. If you got a platform, you can share it out. That's how I ask y'all. Let me play my intro.
I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right 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 one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not the one, I'm the right one. I walk in like a bird, cold look, clear aim. You want smoke, I heard it. You talk big, all wordy, all bark, no bite. You can't win this fight. I seen your hand shake when the room got quiet. I don't need a threat, I bring it, then I write, yeah, yeah, yeah. Tick, tick, hear that whistle, step too close, get the missile. Blood in my eyes, stealing my jaw. Say my name once, then stand by the law. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't just a crowd, I let them come. I stare here hard like a loaded drum. You keep on talking, I keep on moving. Your chest gets loud, but your legs ain't proving. You want that title, you want that crown. I take one look and I shut it down. I crash when the flow gets mean. I came in clean, let the scene pristine. Tick, tick, hear that whistle, step too close, get the missile. Blood in my eyes, stealing my jaw. Say my name once, then stand by the law. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, 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 yeah. I don't bend, I don't break, I don't flinch, I don't fake. Every shot you throw just feeds my pace. Every lie you spit, I put back in your face. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, yeah.
Salute, salute, salute. Appreciate that. Man, I hope everybody could share this, man. This is important, man. Like, real talk. It's important as fuck. I truly hope everybody could see that. Let's continue.
This particular phone call that I'm talking about 3 hours before that, maybe 2 hours before that, he had called his father, and he had a conversation with his father where he said he feels like he's losing his mind, not sure that he can take it a lot longer, thinks that they are, putting stuff in his water. He's trying not to drink or eat the food because he thinks that they're poisoning him. Has this phone call with his wife where he says, I did it. I think I did it. Maybe I did it. And she's telling him this whole time, like, no, honey, you didn't do it. You just, you've lost your mind. And then a couple hours later, he calls her back and he's frantic because he doesn't remember the earlier phone call and doesn't remember what he said, doesn't remember if he said that he confessed or anything like that. So this is the context, right, of these confessions. Now, so that's most of what we can hear with our own ears from what was actually recorded, what can be objectively verified. But then there are other sources of statements that are attributed to Mr. Allen that cannot be verified like that. They come from primarily two places. One is that while he was in solitary confinement, they assigned what they call suicide companions, which are inmates that sit outside his cell and they write down every single detail of what he's doing and what he says and things like that. And so several of these suicide companions, these fellow inmates, wrote down, things that they claimed that he was saying that amounted to confessions. Now, a lot of these, it should be noted, were confessions to facts that were not correct. Things like he shot the girls. The girls had never been shot. He was making claims about things like he had abused his own daughter.
Wait, stop a second.
His daughter denied that.
Can I stop you for a minute?
Yes.
How did the girls die?
They had their throats cut. They died from exsanguination.
Okay, so all these spent bullets, what were they what do they have to do with the crime?
Well, that's a great question because there is no actual proof that this bullet that they found, which is not spent, by the way, unspent. It was a single unspent shell, a cartridge, a full cartridge, partially buried in the ground in the vicinity of the crime scene. There's no evidence that it has anything to do with the crime whatsoever.
Okay, yeah, I assume that they were shot. I assume that they were shot. That's what up until this point.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you say, yeah, like, another, like, oh, okay, fine. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, great question. The state had a whole theory about how, the killer must have had a gun and that he would have racked a bullet to, to intimidate them or something like that. That he used it to control them for fear purposes, and he just happened to eject the bullet and like never noticed or something like that. But there's absolutely no proof of any of that. There is just a bullet that is there at the scene. Couple of things to know. The crime scene.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you? I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to constantly cut you off, but I just want to get back to that thought that you were going through before. That some of his confessions were actually inaccurate. So, like you said, for example, that he shot her. Were there any other examples of his confessions that were inaccurate or incorrect?
I have to remember. I can't remember specific. Yeah, off the top of my head.
With that. That's why I wanted to go back, and I don't want to lose that. But okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, so that was the main one that I remember was just that he claimed that he shot them, and he clearly hadn't. And so he had made other claims, around the same time, like that he had abused his own daughter, which she has, testified definitively, absolutely no, he did not. This is not true. But he was basically in this mind state where it started off with religious hypermania. He got like very fixated on the Bible, and it seemed to be associated with a lot of just sort of guilt and kind of weird sexualization of things. He was like confessing to sins and he was doing things to himself. Okay, now this is very unpleasant stuff when he's in the psychotic state. He is eating feces. He is smearing it all over him. He is taking a spork and sticking it into his member. It's pretty horrifying what the man went through and the condition that he was in at the time that he's making.
He was beating his head. He was eating his feces. He was sticking something in his member, right? These type of whatever guards, the Odins, that was out there. The Odins. This is diabolical, man. And it should piss everybody the fuck off. All right? It don't. People be like, oh. Shit weird as fuck to me, man. What Richard Allen is going through, man. And people don't care. I know Curry, so y'all know I ain't talking about that. People don't care about this shit right here. This fucking me up. It really do, and it just make you look at shit different. Because you think to yourself, this can't be true. That they won't show up for nothing like this, but people show up for drama. Huh? This is worse than fucking drama. They gave this innocent man 130 fucking years, bro. He eating his own shit. He's sticking something in his, he's making all these false accusations when they put them on his, he telling this fuck. Oh, man. I hate when I hear people say, oh, I hear him covering the rich. I don't hear shit. Y'all ain't hear shit. Fuck you hear me saying something, you ain't heard nothing. And this shit is serious right here. This shit fucked me up, y'all. It just make me like,
The claims to the suicide companions that are not verifiable in any way, just the suicide, the other inmates. The claims to the suicide companions that are not verifiable in any way, just the suicide.
You understand what shit really is when you see, and I'm like, this shit is important right here. And I'm like, man, free Richard, man.
The claims to the suicide companions that are not verifiable in any way, just the suicide, the other inmates say that he said these things. Then you have a second source of information, and that is Dr. Walla.
Okay,
so
before we get to Dr. Walla,
yes.
Let's pause it for a minute. So this guy that was outside, the suicide companion, he also heard Richard Allen say that he murdered the kids and with a gun.
Yeah, so there are suicide companions that claim that that they also heard Richard Allen confess, that they wrote this down in their notes, the things that he said, and so yes, and some of those claims were things that were not accurate.
How many of the suicide companions?
Oh, I can't remember now off the top of my head. At least one, but I think more than that.
And did they all testify consistent with the same type of confession that he said?
So none of the suicide companions that were inmates testified at trial. What they did is that at a certain point in the process, the inmates were swapped out with prison guards, and so then prison guards came in and they performed the suicide companion role. And so several of these prison guards were called as witnesses at trial to testify about the types of things that they saw and heard and so forth. Now, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head if any of the prison guards actually heard him, quote unquote, confess. I think there might have been one or maybe two, but it wasn't overwhelming. By and large, the reason why the prison guards were brought in to testify is to testify that he was faking. In their opinion, he was faking his mental illness. He was doing all of these things to
There's no way that can come in as evidence. They're not experts in that.
Well, no, they are not experts in that whatsoever. And this is how I learned about Indiana's learned witness doctrine, which if you ever want to just tear your hair out in horror at what
now
for evidence in an Indiana court, go look into the learned witness doctrine. And so basically what it is it's just a special rule that they have in Indiana where somebody who is clearly not an expert and has no expertise and wouldn't meet the qualifications to be an expert, nevertheless gets to offer an opinion because, well, they just really want him to be able to. And so the idea is that if somebody is in a unique position to be able to, to form an opinion that they can do that.
So in order to become a learned witness, like how much, is there any sort of objective measurements or requirements that you can see whether, like this prison guard, did he have to have had a certain amount of experience with these psychotic patients, or is it just like his first day on the job? No problem. I'm a learned witness. Like
probably first day on the job, no problem would be fine. No, there's no objective standard. It's one of those discretionary with the court types of things. Do you think it's good enough? Do you think it's good enough? Yeah, Judge Gold, surprisingly to nobody, thought that it was going to be good enough to have these prison guards who may not have even graduated from high school come in and testify as psychological experts about malingering, because we didn't call them that. We called them learned witnesses.
Okay, now these are the same prison guards that are also testifying about his admissions.
Yeah. Yes. But
okay,
they heard him say various things.
Okay, so there was no other inmates that testified that they heard confessions. These are all just the prison guards.
These are all just the prison guards.
Okay, and their testimony about his confessions are also the similar with inaccuracies, or how did that?
I don't remember off the top of my head if he was testifying to inaccurate things to them, or he was claiming inaccurate things to them, or if it was just more of the my recollection is that it was just more of the completely undetailed I killed Abby and Libby.
Oh my. The main thing I got out of that is we don't even know if these guys graduated high school. And they come in here to testify about malingering, mean faking, I just rather that. If they were good enough, the FBI retired, FBI wasn't good enough, sure. Oh man, this shit unbelievable. 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 I'm shocked. guards. It's crazy work, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy work. Shit disappointing as fuck, man. Should just make you look at shit different. Make you look at the world, look at people different. God, man. I'm just so stunned. And shocked, you know, like how you see how shit go. And you like and Richard Allen, there wasn't no evidence against it, nothing that people don't see it and they don't. The inmates would. Well, the inmates could testify. Yeah. Crazy work. I'm saying when you just look at shit as smoking fucking mirrors, because it's like, God damn, this could be anybody. This shit. It's about, you know, justice and corruption. This world we live in, people, like I told y'all, like, it's a true double standard. And it just play before your eyes. You know, it play before your eyes. In hindsight, everybody was so worried about the interview I was going to do, but Richard Allen is just, I can't believe this shit. It just show you what the world really like, because I ain't never seen nothing like this. Well, Richard Allen, they show you what people like, How they can say one thing and do the next thing in the snap of a second. Man, this shit fucked me up. This shit fucked me up right here. Yeah, but it was a bigger deal than Richard Allen. And I can't believe that's what fucked me up. Because I'm seeing now, like, other shit that don't, like, this what happened to Richard Allen way bigger. It is what it is. Like I said, it's just reality. And I'm with you. I ain't know a judge could break the rules and nothing happens. Like Classic say, how does that happen? That is just, it just seemed like it was a bigger deal yesterday from this shit right here that's bigger than anything. Then people always say, oh, I was this, I was that. Please. Just, you don't care about, like, this case either. Like, you. So why I tell y'all this case changed me. Because where's the headlines for him? Where they at? Where the headlines for him? Yeah, people don't want to pose in opinions. You know, I guess that people won't go along, get along. And I ain't with that shit. But, you know, it just steady go unseen. And like I said, this with all this information, Classic said, why hasn't someone higher up released all the public info? God, shit's still hiding. And now, even with the shit I was going through too, Catherine, like it all mixed in, not just yesterday, just with the interview with a lot of other shit too. You know, and it's just unbelievable that I see the worst case I done seen. This just fucks with me, y'all. I'm sorry. Let's continue. I think I was right here.
I think I killed them.
And this is all during that April month when he's absolutely psychotic. Everybody agrees about it.
April, May, June. Yes, okay. Everybody agrees. He is psychotic. So absolutely, by their own admission, during the month of April, and that is when most of this stuff is going on.
We seen that her.
But the more disturbing thing about Dr. Walla is that it turns out Dr. Walla is quite a true crime fan. And she had, in fact, consumed a massive amount of content about Richard Allen. She was listening to podcasts and things like that about the case while she was driving to and from work. She would post about it online. And ultimately, she ended up getting terminated from her position because there was a suspect that was being investigated at one point who was this is Keegan Klein, who was also an inmate in Indiana Department of Corrections. He had been arrested subsequently and incarcerated, and so she used her position to look up records about Keegan Klein once his potential involvement in the case became known. And so that's
she was terminated. She was terminated before the trial.
Yes.
And was that allowed in as evidence?
Not the fact that she was terminated. No, it wasn't. They weren't allowed to ask that. They were allowed to elicit that she no longer worked with the Department of Corrections.
Can they say why?
No.
Wow. Okay, so that's Dr. Walla. So that's what the confessions entail. So you've got Dr. Walla, and do we know what she was listening to? Which podcast?
Well, so she's got some like
the question would be like, is this like listening to Andrea Burkhart or like prosecutors podcast? Like
both. She listened to pretty much everything. She listened to prosecutors podcast. She listened to Defense Diaries. She listened to Gray Hughes. She listened to she listened to Delphi After Dark, which was the local Rick Snay, one of the local guys. She listened to everything. She took a field trip to the Monon High Bridge to go there, like while she was treating Richard Allen.
And for some reason, that can you think like if you're listening so much about Richard Allen, was most of the podcast about how he's guilty, or was it the other way around? Why would she want to jump onto the train that everything that he's guilty and make up these confessions?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the $1 million question. The theory that I would offer behind that, you're always going to be kind of trying to mind read in a situation like this. So anybody's guess is kind of as good as anybody else's. But she would be the hero. She would be the hero of the story of Delphi if she's the one who is able to deliver a confession that, as it turns out, leads to him being convicted. And so she came up with this, detail only the killer would know, the white van. And so this was presented at trial as being, strong corroboration of the truth of what Richard Allen was saying, because there was a gentleman who lived on the far side of the Monon High Bridge named Brad Weber, and Brad Weber drove a white van. And so on the day of the murders, he had been at work and gave police different statements about his timeline, about when he did, in fact, drive home in his white van.
Yeah, I heard that. Walla ain't shit, man. Fuck her. It get worse. So Andrea, talk to him.
It's kind of as good as anybody else's. But, she would be the hero. She would be the hero of the story of Delphi if she's the one who is able to deliver a confession that, as it turns out, leads to him being convicted. And so she came up with this, detail only the killer would know, the white van. And so this was presented at trial as being, strong corroboration of the truth of what Richard Allen was saying, because there was a gentleman who lived on the far side of the Monon High Bridge named Brad Weber, and Brad Weber drove a white van. And so on the day of the murders, he had been at work and gave police different statements about his timeline, about when he did, in fact, drive home in his white van. But ultimately, claimed he drove home. Is what he testified to at his trial, was that he had been at work. He got off work about 2:00, takes him about 20-30 minutes to drive home. And so he drove home in his white van, and the state argued this timeline fits. It corroborates what Richard Allen said. He's the only person that would have known that Brad Weber was there in a white van at the time. So it means he's telling the truth. So a couple problems.
And the only evidence of the white van was this alleged confession to Dr. Walla, never ever brought up before.
Well, that's what they claim, but there's curiously, there are some mentions on one of these podcasts that Dr. Walla was known to listen to. Gray Hughes had brought up well before trial, and I think, in fact, before anything was known about Richard Allen's confessions as well, that Richard Allen was going to claim something about the white van. The white van was in discovery because the FBI had questioned Brad Weber early on in the investigation, early part of 2017, and so they had his different stories about the white van. They had video evidence from the neighbor who has, a security camera, and so can see the van driving by the road on its way home. So one of the problems with this theory is that that surveillance video, it doesn't fit the timeline. It's actually about 20 minutes after they claim that he would have been driving by his version. And the problem is that it's timestamped after the point in time where the prosecutor is alleging the girls are already dead at this point. They're timing this based on Libby's cell phone stops moving. They go through and they got the health data and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Cell phones. We know that whole thing well. Her phone stopped moving at 2:30.
What about Pocket State?
About what?
Pocket State. Okay.
We didn't get Pocket States. This might have been an older version of the iOS because this was back in 2017. We did get steps though, which we can talk about, steps and stairs. But anyway, so her phone stops moving at 2:31, and according to the time, the surveillance video of him coming home, he's not coming home until like 2:45. And then the FBI also has his phone data, his phone location data, and his phone doesn't ping from his house until about 2:50. So the timeline doesn't actually fit with the evidence, but that was the detail that they relied on to.
Was that brought up in the trial also? Like the defense?
So that was not. And this is quite unfortunate in my opinion. Because they have relied on that particular piece of evidence to argue oh my gosh, I'm spacing on my case law right now. Glossip and Napui, the cases that hold that a prosecutor can't knowingly elicit false evidence at trial. They have argued that the prosecutor basically presenting Brad Weber's version that he drove home at 2:20 is a Glossip or Napui error because they knew from this other evidence that doesn't work. So it's one of the issues that's presented on appeal. We'll see how it does. I tend to think it probably better fits the framework of ineffective assistance of counsel, but that they wouldn't be able to raise until post-conviction. So we'll just have to see.
So, are there any other?
Mind-boggling, right? You can't believe it, right? Mind-boggling. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me go to the next clip.
So, are there any other data evidence that was involved in this case? Let's say like searches, Google searches, his cell phone. Where's Richard Allen's cell phone this whole time? Was it on, off? Was he texting? Was he calling? All that good stuff. What about that?
So, no evidence of Richard Allen's phone being present at the scene or anything like that was ever presented.
Was there any data on this phone at all? Like, where was it this whole time? Was it
so they did bring in some searches, some internet searches, and these were things like there were some searches for like horror movie recommendations around Halloween. There were searches for information about the killings after they had taken place, like when it's a big deal in the news and stuff like that. But nothing in terms of like planning, preparation. How do I conceal my involvement? Nothing along the Brian Walsh kind of line.
How did dispose of a body?
Completely different universes, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
now, important thing to know too is that the prosecutors did have geofence data. They had gone and gotten a geofence warrant for the crime scene from like the afternoon, of when the girls first went missing up to the point when they were found. And that geofence data apparently places other phones in the area at times when maybe, you wouldn't expect them to be there or it would be suspicious that they were there. But the defense also wasn't able to bring any of that out at trial because the prosecution moved pretrial in limine to exclude all of the geofence data on the grounds that, according to the prosecutor, it's unreliable. They had no hearing. They had no evidence. They didn't present any type of an expert. It's literally just the prosecutor asserting it's unreliable. And Judge Gold said, it's unreliable. Can't come in.
Wow. A lot of basis for appeal. So, yeah. So this was, so again, just to recap, and what I love doing, I like to recap. So just to recap everything, you've got a guy who's there's a unspent 40 caliber casing, which is only compared with a spent 40 caliber casing from Richard Allen's gun, which they didn't test on any other guns. So we have no idea what that would have looked like in other guns. We've got a confession from somebody during clearly a when he was psychotic. You've got Dr. Walla, who is a true crime enthusiast, who's also, again, and none of this is recorded, obviously, right? The only recorded confession was him talking to his dad. Not talking to his dad. Talking to his wife. Talking to his wife after he spoke to his dad, saying that he's he thinks he's going insane.
So there's also a few other phone calls during that same time frame where he talks to his family and he says the similar types of things multiple times. The one to his wife was the first time that he had said something like that.
Right, and then you have the learned witness, those confessions that they heard. Other than that, then you've got what else do you have in terms of evidence that he actually did this?
Other than that, what they did was largely just try to cobble together things that they alleged corroborated his involvement. So they had some video evidence from this place called the Hoosier Harvest Store that was on one of the roads that they claimed that he drove to get to and from the crime scene. They pick out this very, spotty pixelated thing that they say is his car, and that you can specifically tell that it's his car because you can see the custom wheels that he had on his car, which, this was like Karen Reed. It was a bit of a gaslighting trial. We have our own eyes. We can see what it is that you're looking at, and just not.
And their dog bites.
This did not land with me. I did not have the magical eyes that the investigators in this case claim to have. But so that was part of it. They had these eyewitnesses who claimed to see a man on the trail at the right time. And so of course the implication was that it was Richard Allen, but nobody actually asked him in court, can you identify the guy sitting right here at the defense table as the man that you saw on the trail? So not a single person ever identified Richard Allen. They had prepared sketches, composite sketches of the individuals that they claim to have seen early on in the investigation. So these two sketches, according to the prosecutor's theory, are the same.
So nobody on there said that was him. They didn't even ask him that. Where's the white van? Where's the white van? Where's that? Somebody tell me, where's the white van? Let's continue.
They claim to have seen, early on in the investigation. So these two sketches, according to the prosecutor's theory, are the same person, but they don't look anything alike. They look dramatically different. One of them, Betsy Blair, describes a man who is young, probably in his 20s. He's beautiful, tall, has this big poofy hair. And then the other woman, Sarah Carbaugh, describes this muddy, bloody man who's walking down the road at about like 4 p.m. after the murders had taken place. He's wearing the cap, like bridge guy's cap. And he's just like an older, sort of bland looking guy. So they don't look anything alike at all. And neither of them really look like Richard Allen. I mean, the Sarah Carbaugh sketch, the muddy, bloody guy, looks, I guess, a little bit more like him. But neither of them really looks like him. They weren't allowed to bring the sketches in a trial, of course, because they would tend to suggest that the person that the women saw was not, in fact, Richard Allen. So the defense wasn't allowed to bring those in.
How can they not come in? I mean, how is that not part of the investigation? How can that not come in?
Well, she said they were hearsay.
I mean, it's part of the investigation, though. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's not being brought in for the truth of the matter asserted, but it's brought in for as part of what the police are doing in the course of their investigation.
I mean, that is definitely an argument for bringing it in. Another argument, this is another issue that's come up on appeal, is not being allowed to use these sketches. Another argument that the appellate attorneys made was that this is an adoptive admission by the state, that this is the person that they were looking for, that this person is the same person, and so to not be able to point that out, is ultimately like deceiving the jury about the validity of that claim.
Wow. I mean, I remember being surprised by Judge Cannoni when she rubber stamped the defense's experts and made Dr. Marie Russell go through a 2-day Daubert hearing. And I was like, hey, how does that make any sense? But I'm sensing that we have perhaps a similar issue here with this judge.
Bev is one of the best judges in the country compared to Gohl. I mean, I do not exaggerate like how they're not in the same ballpark. Gohl was almost sadistic in her treatment of the defense team, her treatment of Mr. Allen, and her treatment of the public and the press that were there to cover the trial. She achieved levels of evil that Judge Bev could only dream of.
Wow.
I never thought I heard that it was the statement about is a saint and is a. Are you kidding me? What they do for the defense? Nothing. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sarah Carbaugh is the witness from. Yeah, we could see who was throwing Vogue. Oh man, she won 1 million. It's she infinity times worse than Bill, and her daughter just like her. Her daughter just like her. Oh my God. The defense had no chance. Richard Allen had no chance. Let's go to the next clip.
I mean, and is there any mention at all of even slightly in the appeal about the judges?
One thing I wanted to say, brother counsel, like this was a 2-hour interview. So he got this all going through his head right now. And he understands, you can see the looks changing from confused, trying to learn to dialed in. Let's continue.
And is there any mention at all of even slightly in the appeal about the judge's, determinations and manner and demeanor?
No, there's nothing that goes to, overtly anyway, that goes to bias and stuff like that. And a lot of that is because, I mean, as you know, you read a dry transcript, you don't get the flavor. You have to be there present in court to hear the way that she would snap at the public, at the parties.
Why don't you give us a little flavor of that? Yeah.
Oh, there was during jury selection at the end of it. One day they had concluded, they're having some kind of, concluding discussion about logistics. And so some of the members of the press were starting to get up to leave the courtroom. And Judge Gohl snapped out at the public, sit down, just like yelling at you like you're a bad dog or something like that. And so I remember, I mean, I'm taken aback at this non-judicial deportment. But what caught my attention was that I saw Brad Rosie just freeze. I mean, you want to talk about like what a whipped dog does when they get that, they've been walking on eggshells around this person for so long that they're like afraid. He thought she was talking to him, and that he was going to be targeted. You could see how this had played out. So,
well, tell us about the interaction between the lawyers and the judge, because that's what I foresaw happening, that there's going to be a lot of that friction or tension, between the judge and the lawyers. Did you see any of that?
Well, so you definitely saw it from what you looked at, right? The removal of counsel, the ambush hearing, the threats to intimidate them. That ultimately culminated in the prosecution after the case got sent back down by the Supreme Court. They said the attorneys get to stay on because you didn't follow the process for contempt. So what happens? The prosecutor starts a contempt proceeding. And so, we're in the final months of getting ready for trial here. And these attorneys have to be distracted, focusing on how do I defend myself against a contempt charge while I'm trying to get ready for trial. So they had long hearings about that. Ultimately, it was concluded that they did not act willful, but she wrote this just berating, derogatory opinion about how negligent and careless and terrible these lawyers were. She would just be very dismissive. She would be.
Was that also in front of the jury when she would be?
Oh my. Well, she was out of control. Was that the part I was talking about where Ali got berated by the judge? Man, she was out of control. Sit down. What was he talking to? Oh my, let's continue.
She would be.
Was that also in front of the jury when she would act this way towards the defense counsel?
So not so much in front of the jury, except to the extent of how she would handle the objections and arguments and stuff like that. They did most of that at sidebar. They were very pretty good about not having speaking objections and doing those types of arguments in front of the jury. It was quite evident to me, as a lawyer watching all this unfold, just what different treatment there was of the defense team and their objections versus the prosecuting attorneys. But often, yes, her demeanor would just be contemptuous, just dripping with disdain for the fact that these defense counsel dared to say words in her court.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's a big problem. I mean, it's really a problem that there was no cameras in the courtroom, so more people couldn't report this and see, and that's at least with the Karen Reed case. It wasn't just you, and I think there was lawyer Lee in there also, and I think that's kind of it. I think
Bob Mata. Yeah, we were the three lawyers.
Who? You and
Bob Mata, Defense Diaries.
Oh, Bob Mata was there also. Okay, fine. Yeah, great. I mean, it's just the rest of us were not able to get in on this, and I'm telling you, I'm hearing this for the first time from you, and I'm just I'm hitting the back of my seat. Like I'm just this is. And now
Martin, there were protesters that started to show up about maybe midway through the trial. They would be outside. They would have signs and stuff like that. One of the very first signs that I saw said, "No cameras, no wonder." And that just summarized, to me, it summarized so perfectly. Like, yes, no wonder. There is a reason. And this goes back to what I said at the very outset of this show. Look at who wants you to be able to see what happened, and look at who is trying to hide anything and everything from being able to be inspected and judged and criticized. And it tells you really everything you need to know about this case.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, it comes down to, I guess, I would have liked to hear the closing arguments of both sides, because, I understand the evidentiary battles, and especially as the defense attorney not able to argue as much. Even so, the evidence is still so suspect. It's so flimsy the way that you described it for me, and I'm taking your word for it. You know, like it's the jury came back with a guilty verdict. You know, so you know, were they really basing it based on this 40 caliber unspent round and this confession by Dr. Walla? You know, that's what it seems like that they did, and you know, it seems like there's a lot of argument the other way that could have been made and maybe was made, but that's why I'd like to see like the closing arguments. What do you think about the attorneys doing the best with?
I'm lost for words. I'm lost for words. Let's get to this last clip, man.
Was made, but that's why I'd like.
Let's play. Oh, my bad, y'all.
Was made, but that's why I'd like to see like the closing arguments. What do you think about the attorneys doing the best with the best with whatever evidence came out during the trial? You think they did a good job and just hand behind their back?
Yeah, I mean, I think this wasn't just one hand. This was both hands, tying behind their backs in terms of being able to present a defense. And I mean, we've only touched on what they weren't allowed to go into. We haven't even talked about third-party suspects, problems with the crime scene, and stuff like that. So their ability to be able to offer a meaningful counter explanation to the state's version of events was basically non-existent. And that, for me as a trial lawyer, that's at the heart of what I'm trying to do in a closing argument, is because I'm pointing out to the jury, reasonable doubt is based on there being reasonable alternative explanations for this series of evidence. If the prosecutor's explanation for why this evidence is what it is the only possible interpretation, then yeah, you have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But if it can mean other things, then that means you have doubt about the significance of what this evidence means. And so here, let me provide you with some examples of what some of this other evidence could mean. They weren't able to do that on very fundamental things like, why does the crime scene look the way that it does? Did law enforcement look at any other suspects? Were there any other people that came under suspicion? And what was the weight of the suspicion against those people? All the problems we've already talked about with the things that they weren't allowed to get into in terms of like geofence warrants and problems with ballistics and stuff like that. So, give
me a flavor for the third party.
Oh my gosh. I mean, which ones? There's multiple. So if part of the evidence, like part of the strong argument for Richard Allen being guilty is that he confessed, there's at least two other people that also confessed. So one of those is a guy named Elvis Fields. Elvis Fields is related to what is kind of the Odinist theory of the commission of the crimes. So this is based on early in the investigation. The FBI brought in some behavioral analysis unit experts to look at this crime scene because the crime scene is weird. You have the girls have been posed after death. That's not in dispute. They were put in certain positions after death. There are some sticks that are placed on their bodies in kind of these specific formats. There's a puddle of blood that also has sticks on it in a particular configuration. There is a tree that has a mark on it made out of blood. And then just the manner in which the girls were killed. Their throats were cut. They were exsanguinated. There is evidence that the blood flowed over their chins. So meaning they were in an inverted position at least some point in time. One of the girls is nude. The other girl is dressed in the first girl's clothing. So it's a bit of a peculiar crime scene. So the FBI from the outset of the investigation says this has hallmarks of a ritualistic killing.
You better believe it.
Yeah, and so they consulted with a number of different experts who looked at, for example, these stick formations and said, oh, these look like what somebody who is trying to depict Norse runes would do. These look like certain types of Norse runes. And so
what's Norse runes? I'm sorry.
So Norse meaning Nordic, and the old system of writing was a runic system of writing.
Okay.
Man, y'all see all that? Man. Y'all see all that? That's the first time we heard Elvis' name, right? And you know how, see, this case is so mind-boggling, right? Like let's say Hogtie, boy, they was playing cowboys and Indians. I mean, listen to me. I'll never get over Dickolas saying, have you ever thought about this? He had his come to Jesus moment. I said, what? Have you ever thought about this? Dickolas, Have you ever thought about this, sir? Have you ever thought about how that man worked at that store for 5 years as a pharmacy? Have you thought about that? How you thought about how he came to the police station? How you thought about how Ron Logan failed his test and he said he wasn't gonna take no more? He got lawyered up. You remember that y'all took that other police officer, sir, who was doing the lie detector test, and y'all said, "Oh, he wasn't doing it right." What is it? It's a lot more. Like, it's just a whole lot more. But it's crazy work. Elvis Fields. Both his sisters snitched on him. It's nostalgia. You better believe it. Elvis Fields. Both his sisters snitched on him. It was another lady, I forgot, her and her daughter got killed, I think. Like, it's just so much. Do you know about the dude who, the police officer who got killed in front of the police station in broad daylight? It's so much. Do you think about the other two? One in trouble, and the other one, I think he done retired or gone. And then when you think about Holman, he got a raise. He got promoted. I want y'all to think about that. Yeah, in the rooms. Everything about the crime scene was so strange. And how could Richard Allen do that in 19 minutes? How could this other motherfucker get on the stand and he went and Googled outside when the time came right there when it was headphones plugged in? That you can't make that up. Then he'd say the debris could have got into. Come on, at them certain times, right after it rang, and like Subtext Press say twice, right after it rang, man, what is we doing? Man, Stephanie and Maya Thompson, God rest their soul, man. And like you said, the DNA didn't get tested. Oh, it could come from the washing machine, the uncle, the daddy, and who else? Then Brad Holder, his son, was like, it's just so much. Greg Ferenczi, yeah, that was him. R.I.P. to him. That was him. That was him, y'all. I'm like, that was him. That was him, y'all. And that's crazy, man. It's just so much. Like, this story is just so crazy. And I know people ain't, you know, like I say, you see, like, when you covering some real stuff, like, and you breaking it down, you know, where nobody could, you don't get no shares or nothing. Have you ever heard if they lost her phone 13? The jurors just said all it took for the state to debunk the defense gotcha was a Google search. Like, ma'am, that's not even what that Google search did at all. But it was allowed. And Walla, she got fired because she broke the rules. And guess what, y'all? She was allowed. If you don't look at Kathy Skank. Oh, she was a hired one to come in there and find that piece of paper, right? This ain't no coincidence. You can't make this up. Yeah. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. You really can't. But I hope everybody, if y'all had a social media platform, y'all shared it. Man, this case is important, man. And like I say, this case done changed me. And this is what type of time I'm on. Like, cause I ain't getting with no, because like, it just, I hope everybody keep rocking with me, man, and I'll see y'all soon.
I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, I'm the right one, yeah. 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 I'm the right one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not the one, I'm the right one. I walk in like a bird, cold look, clear aim. You wanted smoke, I heard it. You talk big, all wordy, all bark, no bite. You can't win this fight. I seen your hand shake when the room got quiet. I don't need a threat, I bring it, then I write, yeah, yeah, yeah. Tick, tick, hear that whistle, step too close, get the missile. Blood in my eyes, stealing my jaw. Say my name once, then stand by the law. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't just a crowd, I let them come. I stare here hard like a loaded drum. You keep on talking, I keep on moving. Your chest gets loud, but your legs ain't proving. You want that title, you want that crown. I take one look and I shut it down. I crash when the flow gets mean. I came in clean, let the scene pristine. Tick, tick, hear that whistle, step too close, get the missile. Blood in my eyes, stealing my jaw. Say my name once, then stand by the law. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't bend, I don't break, I don't flinch, I don't fake. Every shot you throw just feeds my pace. Every lie you spit, I put back in your face. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah. You came for when you left with none. I'm the right one, yeah. I'm not the one, yeah. I'm the right one, yeah, yeah, yeah.